Welcome to Tigers Untapped, a Bluff City Media podcast. Stepping up to the microphone are your hosts, TJ Willis and Trey Lasley. Pull up your chair, grab your favorite brew, and enjoy the conversation. Now, let's get to the show.
What up? Trey and TJ back with another edition of Tigers Untapped. What is this, like episode 7, I think? 8? We're on 8, I want to say.
7.
I don't know. We're getting up there, almost to double digits, I know that. But head over to Bluff City NIL for all your Tigers coverage. So the rest of our shows on the Bluff, good articles, other stuff we got over there. But Bluff City NIL, they're an official partner for Coaching with Literacy, a nonprofit organization using the power of sports to impact childhood literacy. You can read more about them at coachingforliteracy.org or follow them on social media at Coaching for Literacy, no spaces in there. Your donations to Bluff City NIL are 100% tax deductible because of our partnership together. So thanks to you guys for supporting Memphis Tigers student athletes and helping to promote the monumental cause that is childhood literacy. All right, TJ, first things first. You gifted me this the other night when we were at Happy New Year, by the way.
Happy New Year.
We've made it on to 2023, but first brew of the 2023 season here for Tigers Untapped. You gifted it to me, so tell me what it is. Bad Leroy Brown. We haven't done this brewery yet.
We haven't. No, that's why I went with it. So this is Bad Leroy Brown, an American brown ale from Hampline.
Wow, that is
I've been to.
Dark.
It is dark. So Hampline's pretty cool. It's actually over in Midtown, behind, what's the game place?
You see that? Memphis Griswolds. Shout out to Oxbow. If you guys are listening, we know that you are. You want to throw a sponsor our way? There's that Oxbow koozie.
What's the game room place? Help me out here.
Game room?
Yeah, in Midtown. The place with all the games, dude. Papa Shot, pizza, karaoke.
I know. We did. You signed me up for that 92.9 Papa Shot tournament. I almost won. I got in like 4th place, I think. Why can't I think of the name
that
of it?
place? Whatever.
Yeah,
you know
I
what
know
we're
what you're talking about.
That place.
Yeah.
Right behind there, Hampline. Check them out. The beer's actually pretty good. So we got Bad Leroy Brown. You can't see this. It keeps getting blurred out. It's rated R. Bad Leroy Brown.
Hey, this is only the second pint that we've had on the show.
Is that true?
Yeah, I think the only other one was very first rendition of this series. We had
you're right.
Tiger Tail. Rec
You're
Room.
Right.
Rec Room.
Rec Room.
Shout out to Rec Room. We know that you guys are listening.
Shout out to Rec Room.
Bad Leroy Brown. Love it. So far. Should be a good brew. It is dark though.
It is possibly, looks like Dr. Pepper or something.
I was going to say, I mean, it looks like a Coke for sure. It's a little bit left there on the top. Looks like a Coke. Doesn't taste like a Coke, but it looks like
Don't give it away, dude. Take it easy.
All right. I won't get too excited about it. Tej, we won a bowl game.
Yeah, we did.
We did it.
In dominating fashion.
We talked about it heading into in the preview of the bowl game. That's what you had to do, right? We both were saying it needed to be at least a 2-score game. I think you need to beat them by double dig. And not only did they beat them by double dig, TJ, that's the largest margin of victory for a bowl game in program history. Not that we've won a ton of bowl games, but largest margin of victory and second largest margin of victory in bowl games for this entire college football season. Only second to the other Tigers from the Bayou of their thrashing of Purdue 63-7.
Purdue, yeah.
So big 28-point win for the Tigs at the First Responders Bowl down there in Dallas. Like you said, I mean, handled a team. I mean, we looked better the entire game. It was never in question. Obviously, it was 3-3 early, but after that, it was all Tigers. Seth, heck of a game. Eddie Lewis had a big game. Seth was 20-29, 284, 3 tutties. Ducker had a decent. We didn't get a 100-yard rusher. We asked for it. We wanted it on the pod. I felt
So
like
close.
we were getting there. Our boy Jay finished with 83. That big 48-yard tutty at the end, though, was huge for me because I'd taken the Tigs over 34.5, and that hit it right there. So I needed that. Loved that. Might throw a little extra Jay's way for busting that out at the end. No 100-yard rusher though, but we did 150 on the ground and 2 tutties, both of those from Jay. 284 through the air. Eddie had two touchdown catches, one real nice over the shoulder.
Oh yeah.
Set just kind of dropped in there down there on the sideline of the pylon. But Eddie, 5 catches, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rock, we got to see a little bit more of Rock. He had 4 catches, 48 yards. Joe Skates, 1 catch, 42 yards. And then the other tutty through the air. Mr. Touchdown himself. He's no longer here.
Oh, it's
Caden Prieskorn. I will remember you.
We'll have to touch on that later. We got more to say on that.
He's not the only one either. Not the only one. A couple more transfers out there. We'll get on that later. But it was a good win. Good, like we talked about, good momentum going into the winter offseason here. Big victory for the Tigers. Anything else stand out to you, TJ, from that Utah State game?
No, it's just a thrashing. I think you nailed it, right? And the Tigers look great, as they should have. They played a bad team, and they crushed them the way you would crush a bad team. Javon Ivory saved up 2 or 3 years worth of production for one game.
Should have had 3 picks and a tutty. That one he dropped to hit him square in the chest was a for sure touchdown.
That was a touchdown.
I was so mad because at that point in time, I thought that's what I needed to hit my over. And then what a huge swing that was, because it went from that being a pick 6 that they scored like 2 plays later.
Yeah.
Got the 10, which that was, again, another game where it felt like the defense was going to hold a team under 7 total points and then just gave up one late. So I think that would have been 4. It's like 4 potential game. I mean, the defense, I feel like they've really turned it around and have started playing really, really well under Matt Barnes.
Definitely. I think the scheme is perfect. Even when our boy Jalen Allen went down, you had going blank. James Stewart stepped in, 92. He was applying pressure off the end. So you've got second string guys coming in and working with starters and looking like they belong. Anytime you have that happen, you can tell it's just people are fit. It's just like a plug and play. And I think that's definitely ideal with kind of the offseason that we're going into, losing, Tyler Murray, Zay Collins, Quindell, Savante. I mean, you're losing a lot of key pieces for Dallas. So it's ideal that it's plug and play. You don't want to have to replace that many people, but kind of is what it is these days.
Yeah. I mean, definitely felt like this season, at least, that was one of our better games defensively, getting pressure in the backfield, right? They finished with 4 sacks. I think, Cameron, another I will remember you out of here. Right. But Whitlow had a sack, Cameron. Jalen had a sack before he went out. James Stewart, you already mentioned, a sack. And we had 7 tackles for a loss. So felt like that defensive line was finally kind of getting in the backfield, making plays, something we'd kind of been asking for and waiting to see the whole year. So it was good to see that. But overall, like we said, great win for the Tigers. You were able to really manhandle a team that you were better than, something you should have done. So kudos to them, and good to finish the year 7-6. That's much better. I mean, it's 7-6 isn't great, but it's much better than sitting here and talking about 6-7 and where we'd be with that.
Amen.
All right. With that, if you've been following and listening to TJ and I from the start, at the beginning of the football season, we took some questions from listeners. And one of the things we did was season superlative. So we had a buddy that asked, I think it's like 10 questions maybe. And whoever got the most right out of those, he was going to buy a 6-pack for. So we're going to run through those right now. and reveal to you guys who the winner of these were. So the first one right off the top, most rushing yards will be TJ. Who'd you go with?
Going with Brandon Thomas.
That you did. Didn't work out. BT got hurt again. And, coming into the year, there was a lot of talk of trying to find that one guy. And we both thought BT was going to be that one guy, but I went with Asa. So sitting here today, leading rusher is Javon Ducker. So neither one of us got that correct. But if you wanted to go like closest, then I kind of get it, right? I mean, we were just saying. That's how that works. Jay had 544 yards, team high. Second, Asa with 435. I had joked around about saying Seth, and he did finish third with 289. And then your boy BT with 270, bringing up the rear. So neither one of us get a point there. Moving on to receiving yards. TJ, who'd you go with?
I went with Eddie Lewis.
You copied me, and you went with Edwin Lewis, which, ding, ding, we both get a point. Eddie barely got it in the last game. 615 team leading receiving yards, just above 13 yards above Caden Prieskorn at 602. So both get a point there for Eddie Lewis. Most tackles, I went with Quindell. TJ went with
Kyler Murray.
You did. And neither one of us got it. Shout out to Zay with a team high 111 tackles. But again, if you want to go with closest, shout out to Quindell because he was second on the team with 77.
That's not how that works.
Just saying, if the people at home want to credit me, that's fine. Tyler fourth on the team with 67, right behind Jeff, who had 76, one less than Quindell. Jeff had a big game, by the way. We didn't mention that, but Jeff had, I think he had 11 tackles. Yeah, 10 tackles. 11 total against the Aggies of Utah State. All right, so no point there for either one of us right now. We're both sitting at one. Regular season wins. I went with 9, which there were 3 ball games that all should have been won, and I would have been spot on. Houston, East Carolina, SMU. That's 9 wins. TJ, what'd you say? 8?
8, yep.
So, neither one of us get it. Still so sitting at 1 apiece.
If we were playing closest,
Whatever. Not regular. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Still 1-1. All right. This is the fun one. Longest field goal made. I said 53 yards. TJ said 51. We both had the wrong kicker. We both did not pick Chris Howard. I'll say that. No. We went with Kemp. But the longest field goal, do you know it off the top of your head? I had to go back and look at it. I remember the kick. Maybe. I just didn't know what it was. 49 yards. Okay. And it couldn't have been 49 and a half. That was the one that hit the crossbar.
And hit the crossbar. That's right.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were maxed out right there. We weren't hitting 50. No. So again, no point either way. On to most points scored against. TJ, I remember I wanted to say UNA with you, but I was like, FCS school. Our boy Silverfield's going to call off the dogs. # win with class.
No.
But you got it.
Crushed them.
You got it. I went with Temple, which we did not score the most points against.
No.
So TJ 2-1. First defensive tutty. Neither one of us got this. TJ went with Rodney Owens, who may have played 5 snaps all year. Yeah. So that was going to be tough. And our boy Greg Rubin didn't even get a tutty. So neither one of us, not only were they not first defensive touchdown, they didn't even score a touchdown, period.
No.
One of us should have picked Zay. Next up, record a safety. TJ said no. I said yes to be different. No safety was recorded. So TJ, ding, ding. What is that? 3-1 TJ?
It is.
And then bowl game, we both said yes. You said Fenway. I said Liberty. Neither one of those happened. But if you're keeping track at home, that is a final score, TJ 3, Trey 1. And TJ has been awarded the 6-pack. I don't even, what all did you get in that 6-pack? Do you remember? Was this one of them? Bad Leroy Brown? You shared it with me?
One of them. No, this, my wife got us these actually. This is a new release. So
Wow,
I don't remember what was all in there.
Shout out to Mama Willis. Thank you, Alicia, for the brews.
Yeah. I don't remember what was all in there. It was all local stuff. Just a couple of new ones we haven't had yet. So saving some doll hairs.
There you go. Support the fun. Shout out to Jonathan for supporting TJ's brew lineup.
Yeah.
Guess I'm gonna have to go purchase them myself. There's always next year. Always next year.
I may let you in. We'll find out.
Let me win. I'm not gonna be different next year. I'm not gonna just pick to be different. I'm going with what I really feel.
That's fair.
And we might have to implement some sort of
actual grading scale. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Let's move on.
All right, wrapping up the season. So obviously finishing 7-6. We talked about superlatives. We mentioned it a little bit earlier. There have been some names that have hit the portal. We knew it was coming. We'd heard that there were going to be some guys probably entering in there after the bowl game. It was a rough day, right? Not going to say it wasn't. I mean, you had several kind of key guys that hit all right there together. I mean, I would say the most shocking, because reports had come out and, it had been not just by us, but I mean, Daily Memphi and everybody confirmed that Caden had mentioned a couple of weeks ago he was coming back. But as is the days of NIL, you get an offer from somewhere. We're talking 250, 6 figs. It's be hard to stick around, right?
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do, right? If someone comes and offers you an absurd amount of money, you're not going to say no.
Yeah.
Right. At 6'6", 250, putting up the stats he did. I think he was the 6th most receiving yards amongst tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of places had him.
You're highly sought after.
One of the top 2, probably, if not 3 tight ends in the country the whole year. So, I mean, it definitely sucks. That hurts. We talked about it coming into the year. Would he be able to sort of fill in that void that, you had with Sean Dykes leaving? And I think he did, for sure. I mean, there was a streak of 3 or 4 games in a row, or 6 out of 5, where he scored the first touchdown of the game, right? I mean, we kind of made it a joke that, like, if there was a FanDuel prop for first tutty, it was, we were going to go Caden every time. So definitely hurts. But like we said, in the world of NIL, like, some of those bigger Power 5 schools, that's kind of what's going to stink about it, right? As a G5, if you got a kid that's kind of really throwing up good numbers, looks really good, those P5s going to come calling, and it's going to be hard to try to keep a kid when you just don't really have the resources or funding that they do. Caden, not the only one. You lost Javon Ivory's entered as well. So a guy that's been here several years. Was about to be a redshirt senior, I think. Cameron Jackson hit it as well, which is weird because that report came out, I think, what was it? The day it was signing day, right?
Yeah.
That he was going to Florida, and then that Florida beat writer came back and said, never mind, Cam's not even in the portal. But I mean, if we're being honest, once that happened, it's kind of like, okay, there's no way that just came out of nowhere. There's got to be something there, right?
He let something slip that he wasn't supposed to let slip.
Like Cam wasn't in the portal, but Cam was in the portal.
Cam was talking people. We know that.
Oh yeah. Tampering. So yeah, several big losses there. I mean, we'll say it's interesting. Obviously, I think the staff probably knew, obviously, that was happening, because right after Cam announced, you kind of got what would be, I don't know, sort of his replacement if you will, right? From Adarius Jones, 6'4", 300. So, I mean, a little bit smaller than Cam, but I mean, not much. I mean, that's still a big interior DL from A&M. But he was He was a highly sought after defensive lineman coming out of high school, a top 500 kid. I think he was projected as like a Power 5 starter. So he spent a couple of years at
A&M.
A&M. I think he hasn't been able to really get on the field a ton or put up a ton of, high popping stats, but definitely a larger, more athletic guy that I think, should be able to have some success at our level. So we'll see. But nonetheless, there's some spots they got to fill in. Probably continue to try to look at what's out there in the portal. I would say, TJ, I don't know how you feel, but right now, looking at it, we don't know where Eddie's stands. I think he's got a 5th COVID year he can use. Yeah. He hasn't said one way or the other, but at this point, that's your team leading receiver. So if he's back, that's great. If he's not, looking at it right now, you're losing your top 4 receivers going into next year. Nearly 2,000, probably a little over 2,000 yards receiving are going to be gone. And, if that's Eddie doesn't come back, you obviously lost Caden. Javon's hit the portal, and then Gabe Rogers. That's your top 4 right there.
Yeah. I think it's easy to say that receiver is something they'll look at. Just, you've mentioned Gabe just exhausting his eligibility. Caden's gone. Javon's gone. Cam Wright is someone that kind of came on towards the end of the season. I was high on Cam. Cam hit the portal and just, never was able to really get those snaps I think he was looking for.
Which felt a little, it felt weird to me, right? Because saw, he got more snaps there at the bowl game. And if if it's come out that Javon's leaving, that's kind of opening up a spot. Rock's already kind of getting some snaps. It seems like that's an opportunity for Cam to kind of maybe work his way in. So I am interested as to kind of what happened there. But I'm curious.
It'd be interesting if it was a situation where they were like, hey, you may be best suited to kind of look elsewhere. He will be a junior.
Yeah.
Do you really want to take that gamble as a junior, not picking up those type of snaps and minutes, and then you have to transfer as a senior? And, you really only have 2 years at that point to kind of pick up the snaps that you're looking for. And if the NFL is your dream, you probably want more than 2 years of tape. So I get it. It makes sense.
Sure. So right now, as things look, Eddie is we don't really know, could come back,
big
could
maybe.
Not. And then you're looking at Skates, who had 18 catches, 412 yards. After that, Asa was your next leading receiver at 312. So out of the backfield, you got Rock Taylor, we've mentioned, who's showed a lot of potential, has struggled at times, I would say, just kind of catching the ball at times. And then you got Kobe Drake, who we've been high on. The kid catches everything thrown his way, but he didn't really get targeted a ton. He had 13 receptions for 159 yards, 1 touchdown. And then it's really your running backs after that with Ducker and Smith kind of bringing up the tail end there. So it'll be interesting to see what they do portal wise, or if there's a young guy, that we kind of haven't heard about going into next year that maybe steps up and fills in some of that production that we're going to be losing. So definitely something to keep an eye on. Kind of portal related. Just going into next year, we put out that piece, the headquarters for National Signing Day, decent class, I would say. Another one of the top ranked that Silverfield's put together. I guess the knock on that is what you hear a lot of people say is, what does it matter how good the classes are if all these guys end up hitting the portal or getting pushed out or whatever happens, right? So, I think as it stands right now, by rival standards, that was the 57th ranked class, first in the AAC, current AAC. Or the new look AAC. I think we were behind Houston and UCF maybe, but they're no longer, come July 1, they're not conference opponents anymore. So first in the AAC, 247, I think it was 60th, and also first in the AAC. So you had the best conference class. I think, what was it, Pro Football or Football Scoop? Somebody, came out and said we were the top G5 class overall on signing day. I think it's pretty evident they focused on the defensive side and then offensive line. So I think they've really tried to make the offensive line a priority, something we've kind of talked about as being one of the struggles on that side of the ball, and really honestly probably why you haven't seen the running game that you've kind of expected or hoped for.
Agreed.
What out of that class, is there anybody that kind of surprised you or somebody that you're excited about that they ended up getting?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest one to say is Marjavius Moss, 4-star corner, flips at the last minute. Something kind of came out of nowhere, honestly. We hadn't heard anything about Moss even being a potential flip. Granted, you see that he's visited and you kind of just think, oh, well, they're just doing their due diligence. This kid's coming. He wants to get treated like royalty. And then the next thing you notice, he's committed and signed. And it's like, whoa, kind of just came out of nowhere. But I mean, that's a top 400 kid nationally. That's not someone that typically signs with Memphis, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you may get that kind of out of a transfer, like we've talked about, like Adarius Jones. I mean, he was a top 450 or something kid, but you're not getting him until he's been 2 years. He's kind of not seen the field at A&M. But yeah, straight out of high school, we don't typically see a kid like Moss sign with Memphis. I mean, I think we looked at it by 247 metrics, the 8th overall highest rated recruit that we've ever signed.
Yep.
So definitely up there, definitely a potential to add some immediate help in that secondary for sure.
I mean, I'm trying to think in terms of players that have come to Memphis kind of at that tier level. Obina is probably the next highest. Someone in that range.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a guy that they were not expecting, a guy with the Bama offer coming to Memphis. So,
right.
It's kind of a shocker in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, Moss for sure, just from the, we talked about it, from this to the pure surprise and kind of coming out of nowhere. We've mentioned him before, but a guy that I'm excited about, and I think kind of also helps fill the void of Cam being gone, is Derek Hunter. He's not a high school kid coming out of JUCO. I think another guy that spent some time at A&M, but another right there next to Jones. I mean, another 6'4", 6'5", 300-plus guy on your interior defensive line that's going to really help kind of clog up that space there and add some really good size on that side of that side of the football. So
definitely,
I think he was rated like maybe the number 1 defensive line JUCO prospect, like 5th overall, I want to say.
Yeah,
but definitely a solid class so far. I mean, they'll continue to try to add. We've talked about it. I mean, obviously from the portal they'll add. There may be some more JUCO signings or something that they get in later signing day in February, but something to keep an eye on as we move into the winter and the off season there. Outside of that, TJ, a couple of staff changes have happened. Anything that surprised you? So wide receivers, Glidden's out, already replaced with Larry Smith from UAB. He'd been the wide receiver coach at UAB for 7 years. So that seemed, obviously that was, I think, anticipated. They knew that one was coming because that was a very quick turnaround to get Smith kind of here.
Yeah, no, nothing too surprising, right? I think with the struggles of the offensive line for at least the last 2 years, you're kind of like, okay, something's got to give. How are we going to go about this? Especially with Ryan being a former offensive line coach himself.
Yeah.
What's really going on here? Is it talent? Is it the teaching? Like, at some point, you kind of have to figure out it's one way or the other. And, maybe it's both. And that's why we've seen the influx of offensive linemen through the just the transfer portal, or be it the signings and the early enrollees and things like that. Maybe it's talent, maybe it's the coaching staff, and maybe that's why we're seeing a little bit of both, right? With Glidden, that one's tough, right? We haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver, I think, this year. And this is the first year. Yeah. We haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since 2015, I think the stat is. So kind of shocking. Is that on Glidden necessarily? No, not really. But there's some little things you can kind of see with these guys, the consistent drops, maybe poor route running, things like that. Like, that kind of reflects back on him. So I could see why they made that move. And special teams, like, do I need to keep going? Like, Doyle's been great, and Chris Howard was phenomenal, but coverage has been awful. There's inconsistency in the return game.
Even late,
what can we do?
Late there against Utah State, they had 2 long kickoff returns at the end of the game. The 2 last touchdowns we had on both of those kickoffs, they had very long returns.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything necessarily surprising. You mentioned Clay and you mentioned the wide receivers. The other part of that is like, I don't feel like we've really seen anybody out of that wide receiver room that developed over the last couple of years. I mean, not to call him out, but like Javon, I felt like has been just the same kind of.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like you come in and you're like, okay, like this is the year Javon's going to take the next step. And it's felt like he's just kind of been that consistent, like not overly productive, but can make a play here or there occasionally.
Yeah. And some of that, when I think about it, I don't want to put it all on Javon, because if you think of Javon's side, like all he can do is catch the ball when it's thrown to him, right? If he's not getting the number of targets everybody else is, or hey, they're spreading it around. Now we have 7 guys catching the ball or 9 guys catching the ball. I'm not going to be able to go for 100 every game or something like that. So we saw Calvin, I guess, evolve, if you want to look at it that way. I think Calvin, like Anthony Miller, was going to be that stud no matter what, right? It's just that kind of work ethic that they had was unmatched. So they were always going to be that. And I think we were expecting someone else to kind of step up and kind of become that. And maybe that's on us as fans for expecting that level of production. And that's just kind of an unrealistic ask. But 500-yard receiver, I don't even know what it was. I know Eddie was kind of high up there, but I don't think the next person was very close. I don't remember it is off the top of my head. But
yeah, I mean, Caden and Eddie were up there, both over 600. And Javon was right at 600. But yeah, I mean, it's
how many touchdowns has he had on his career?
Javon?
4, maybe. I'm not.
He had 2 this year.
I'm not trying to crap on the guy. It just, for some reason, he could not find the end zone for being. And you probably can't tell this on TV, but he's a big guy. Like, he should win mismatches.
Yeah. So he had 8 through 3 years. 3, 3, and 2 this year, which is, like we're saying, that's not really an increase in production really at all, right? Like that's just kind of the same year over year.
46, 29, and 23. So that's like 100 receptions and 8 touchdowns. Like, whatever. Again, he can only catch what's thrown to him. So I'll give him some mercy there, but you just need more. And I'm not putting that on him necessarily. Maybe it's something with Seth holding the ball too long. Maybe it's offensive line. Big simpatico.
It's a combination of a lot of different things. Yeah, for sure.
It's all work.
But all that to say that I think that is definitely a area of emphasis, and we should, I would say, in the next couple of weeks, month or so, we're probably going to hear about, a wide receiver or 2, either out of the portal or another, a signee from JUCO or somewhere that they're trying to add to that room.
I mean, I'm not sure when people are going to hear this, but I'm pretty sure there's a guy coming this weekend. There'll be a guy on campus, wide receivers. So that's something. That's help.
Yeah. Another area we've kind of talked about, obviously with Chris Howard out, David Kemp leaving, you got to get a kicker. We got our punter.
Yeah.
Need a kicker though. So something to keep an eye out there as well. Any other position group or anything else that you're anticipating that they're kind of going after here in the winter semester?
I think if they can get, sounds weird to say, if they can get like a stud tight end, I think that's where they'll go. And that's mostly because if you look at the tight ends they have on roster, they just brought in Christian Ross. He'll come in, I think, late, but 6'4", 215. He's kind of an athlete that can play tight end. I'm not expecting him to be able to block at 215 necessarily.
Right now, where we're at, given the roster currently, who steps in immediately?
Anthony Lanphier seems like the easiest one. He was kind of tight end,
but he seems more of that like gritty, get out there and make blocks, not the touchdown machine from a production standpoint that Caden really was, right? So
thoroughly agree.
It'll be interesting to see.
Arrington McCray is the next one up for me because that's just whose game I could think of.
Yeah,
he's Sean Dykes. I mean, he's what you liked so much.
Just a more athletic, more of a receiver that's playing tight end.
Correct. He is not your big 6'6", 250 physical mauler looking type of guy. Not that Prieskorn was that great of a blocker, but that he possessed the size mismatch that you're not necessarily going to get with Arrington McCray or that you had with Sean Dykes, but their skill set was so unique that it gave them an edge over smaller defenders. So Arrington would be a good option, I think.
When you were talking about I don't know why I just randomly thought about this, but the most frustrating part about Caden leaving is that he came in as a walk-on quarterback.
Yeah, ungrateful.
And we turned him in and developed him into a beast of a tight end, and now he's just like vamp. I mean, I get it, right? Like I understand, go get paid, kidding. But that does suck, right? Like you take in this kid as a walk-on, turn him into a productive tight end, and then he's deucing out on you.
What are you gonna do, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That sucks. So, hey, next man up. Let's roll.
I'm with
all
it.
Right. Wrap up football a little bit here. We're not going to do like a way too early prediction yet or anything. We'll wait till the schedule comes out fully. I'll just ask you this. Tulane won the other day, beat USC. I'm also pretty sure I was pretty down. I texted you and another buddy of our Charlie the other day. I think we're the only American team that's made a New Year's Six Bowl that didn't win it. Obviously, there are teams that have lost, but they made like UCF made multiple, and they've won one, right? So like we're the only American team, I'm pretty sure, that's made the New Year's Six and didn't win, which is depressing.
Well, let me ask you this: did they run into the buzzsaw that is Journey Brown? Because if they didn't have to face Journey Brown, I don't want to hear
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah,
the greatest linebacker in college at this point. I'm
Although,
convinced
if you go back and watch that, I don't know if you've seen that clip, but I'm pretty sure it was Kenny. Just flat out pancaked Micah in that game. It was awesome. I mean, it was totally blindsided.
No, I remember that. Yeah,
coming, but it was great.
Yeah, he got chipped off. Yeah. I remember that.
But I don't know why I thought of that. I just thought of it and made me depressed because I'm like, Tulane they led for 9 freaking seconds in that ball game. Down freaking, what was it, 15? Teams were like 2,149 when they're down by 15 or more with 4 minutes left, I think was the stat, and Tulane won that game.
I think you just confused that with the Luca stat.
Is that what that was? No, dude, I'm telling you. They were both insane. I will pull it up right now.
You just pulled up
shout out to Luca, and if you're listening, we know that you are. That was incredible as well. I'm pulling this up. I'm telling you, I saw the tweet. They said Tulane made it 2 out of. This is horrible.
Give a shout out to Luca. Give a shout out for Donovan Mitchell. I mean, this is not an NBA podcast, but. Give a shout out to all these dudes dropping a bajillion.
Yeah, shout out for real to
the Spider
to Donovan. All right, I can't find it. Whatever. I just know that they won that game, and the odds were almost.
I believe the odds were against them. I'm with you on that. All right, basketball.
Do you think the American stays the top G5 conference?
Yes, obviously. What do you mean? That's not even up for discussion.
You had UTSA, Tulane. I think they're bringing a lot back, right? Freaking, this is probably our fault too. We talk so much about Michael Pratt, and then they just.
No. I had Tulane fans in my freaking inbox real quick.
Well deserved. We'll eat the crow.
What are you gonna do?
He's still slow as hell. But congrats to you guys for winning 12 games.
You bum. 12 game winning quarterback. You bum.
Bum. All right, enough of football. Football season's over. We are in the depths of basketball season. Conference play has started.
Conference play, baby.
And it is not started last time we talked about us potentially winning 15 straight. And TJ, we almost didn't win 2 straight.
Yeah, I want to go back to
Florida, and Tyler Harris came to FedEx Forum and about beat us on I jokingly tweeted about it, but it should have been a quad. If we'd lost, they should have invented a quad 5 loss, because that's what it felt like. But somehow Katie put the city on his back and won that game in the last 6 minutes of that game were great. We were down 10 with 7 minutes and 30 seconds left, I think, and came back and won.
I don't like to be prophetic or say anything that's just like mind blowing, but he may be really good at basketball.
Who,
Kendrick
KD?
Davis, yeah, he
I
may
mean,
be really
there's
good
a
at
potential.
basketball.
Yes, he has shown potential that he could be if he really wanted to put the time and effort into it.
If he just put some effort into it.
So Kendrick, if you're listening, I don't know, just you could be good if you wanted to be good. Just practice a little. No, but that game was super frustrating. South Florida. You held Tyler, which, hey, shout out to Tyler. That ovation when he was announced was awesome. Very sentimental. I love Tyler. I'm a big Tyler fan. When he came back last year, I remember texting my buddy Jonathan and being like, I'm so glad that he's going to end his career as a Tiger. And then sure enough, I jinxed it. And he's not ending his career as Tiger. But it was cool for him to have a homecoming. Yeah. Was also cool to shut him out in the first half and then have him have Ofer. And then he dropped 17 on our head in the second half and nearly knocked us off on our home floor. So overall an ugly game. I mean, you give up 86. I mean, they are ranked like 280 in the country offensively. We gave up 86 points to them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that came from fouling Tyler specifically. Like every time he drove, it was a foul. Literally every time he drove.
And it's all because he made that one just shot. Attacked KO at the rim and made it. Yep. And then they were like, oh, he's going to he's not just straight up. Dudes are freaking swiping as hard as they can every time he drove the lane. And yeah, 11 or 12 of his points, I think, were from the free throw line. He made 3 shots. The vast majority of them. And it was all free throws. And it's like he kept penetrating and we just kept fouling the mess out of him. It was so frustrating.
I'm just glad it wasn't death by Tyler 3. Could you imagine Tyler dropping?
I don't even want to think about
Robert Sally type of big game Bob type of threes on us. I would have died.
Jonathan a minute ago, we were there. He texted me and was like, this was like 2 minutes left and said, Tyler Harris game winner is going to suck really bad. And I was like, that's probably happening. Now that you said that, 100%. And that was not long after he made that 3 from the Tigers strike, like claw mark logo, and then just so swagger, just pointed directly at the spot on the floor and stared our bench down. And I was like, damn, to be able to do that in the moment in your hometown as an opponent, that had to feel awesome.
That's pretty dope. Yeah. I didn't want to just a Tyler
Tyler, we sent you home at that L. So I know. Does he not do that?
I don't think he does it anymore. I don't know. That may not be cool anymore.
I don't know. Yeah, it's old. He should have strummed the guitar though. Shout out to Lester.
I don't know. It's Lester.
All that to say though, we have not started out conference play very well.
No, we have
especially defensively. We talked about it. 86 to South Florida, who in KenPom is like 280th metric wise offensively, and then you freaking lose in I can't stand and last year was a totally different story because you were missing half the team playing, but I just feel like the last 10 years, every time we play in New Orleans, it is a freaking dogfight. I don't know. You turn around and you give 96 up to Tulane, and we're supposed to be, earlier in the year we looked like we could be an elite defensive team, right? Or you gave up 96. And Tulane's not. They're fine. I think they're like top 100, top 75 offensively. But dude, some of those shots they were making, just turn around in the lane, I just felt like we couldn't get a stop to save our lives. But if you look at it metric wise, at one point we were top 15 defensively in efficiency. And right now, if you look at it on KenPom, we are 40th. Yeah, defensive efficiency is 40th. So we have dropped quite a bit defensively over the last couple of weeks, and it's pretty worrisome.
I will say this. The Tulane game was weird because it wasn't just that Tulane was hitting threes. Memphis was hitting threes as well. So it's just
we were both scoring. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. How many times? If you'd have told me we'd gone down there and scored 89, right? And shot as well as we shot.
Yeah.
And Tulane we had them at their average season turnovers with 5 minutes left in the first half. I'd have said we won by 15.
Let me ask you this. I'll do you one better. I need you to be with me here. Close your eyes.
I'm not
close your eyes. I need you to close your eyes. I need you to be here with me. It's December 6th. I'm going to tell you, we go 7 games in a row, scoring 80 points.
I would say
how many games do you 7-0? It's 7-0.
The question and the concern coming into the season was us offensively, and we have not struggled to score.
Not at all.
We just can't stop anybody anymore.
That Stanford game was pretty bad, but other than that,
I meant recently.
I'm with you though, but it's not on the offense by any means. KD is getting his buckets. DeAndre is scoring well. You just can't stop a damn body.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I don't know what it is. We have weak closeouts on threes. People are draining three. That was the other thing too that was incredibly frustrating the other night at Tulane. They are one of the worst percentage-wise. I mean, I think they make 7 a game, but they shoot 30% from three. And in the first half, they were
it was 40 or 50 something. It was something absurd.
They were 50%. They were making every other three they took. And it wasn't because they were just going in. Most of them were open. We were just rotating late. People were closing out late. We were just giving them shots. I mean, there were times I can remember standing. They shot 42% from three, 11 of 26. That's just not, I don't know.
I think, trying to word this where I don't sound like an idiot. I think the issue is that we try to trap so much that it's just giving open
you're
looks.
Leaving. Yeah.
They're obviously that's what it is, right? That's how you beat the trap, right? You make the extra pass, but it's just giving these clear open looks again and again, and then they're switching up when the trap's not working. Or the press isn't working. They switch it up and go zone. I guess that's a Frank Haith thing.
Which did not work the other night.
It did not work, but I also
the other
think
thing too
they
is
should start with that.
We've talked about it. We talked about it in the St. Louis game, and it was evident in South Florida. The last 5 minutes of the game, they turned it on to a different level. Those last 5 minutes, South Florida could barely get the ball across midcourt.
Yeah.
And it's why do you have to get to that point before you start playing? Obviously, it's probably not sustainable to play 40 straight minutes at that intensity, but it shouldn't take you getting down at home to South Florida with 5 minutes left.
God, no.
To decide, all right, we're about to play our asses off, and South Florida's not getting across half court, and we're going on a 20-5 run or whatever it was to close the game out.
Yeah.
Do that with 6 minutes left in the first half and build up a 20-point lead. I don't know. Some of it is just it's the trap, leaving guys open. It's late rotations, it's late closeouts. And then to me, it's sometimes they decide to just turn the intensity up. And it's just why didn't you do that a little bit earlier if you have it in you?
You know what I think was the most frustrating thing about that Tulane game is you lost and Jalen Cook scored how many points?
That was the fact that it was 37 all, and he essentially didn't play the first half
at all
because he had 3 fouls. And then he came out and basically almost immediately got a fourth, which you bring that up. And this just reminded me, the fact that DeAndre had 0 personal fouls at halftime and then fouled out of the game is one of the most frustrating things that's ever happened.
I'll tell you,
especially considering what's his face played basically the entire second half with 4 fouls. Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Cross played the whole second half with 4 fouls and didn't foul out. DeAndre came out at halftime, 0 personal fouls and fouled out.
I'll say this. I think I technically heard it first on Christian and Kenny's show on the On the Bluff podcast. DeAndre is marked. Refs know that he is going to foul, that he is highly likely to foul. I'll say 70% of the time. He always keeps a hand down. He leans forward as opposed to going up.
It's fixable things.
They are like, I know, but it's shiesty fouls 99% of the time, but they know that he is likely going to foul. And I thoroughly agree that I think he's marked by refs.
And they
refs
know he's a freaking loose cannon and he's going to freak out about it
exactly.
when they call it.
He's, I don't want to say this, but he's like Jaren Jackson Jr. Like refs know what they're going to do, and they kind of proactively kind of blow a whistle just because his hand's down versus up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you're going to get that nonstop. And, he's too important to this team to do dumb things like that and to get into these situations where, it's 5 minutes left in the game and he's going to foul out. And they're like, what good are you now? Like, we don't have Malcolm already. Yeah. Chandler has an obsession with putting the ball back down on the floor.
We have to have you on the floor.
You have to have him.
And I don't care if there's 90 seconds left, 60 seconds, whatever. Like, if it's a close game, DeAndre has got to be on the floor.
Got to be on the floor, man.
So it felt to me on Sunday like it was an end of the world loss. At that point in time, it was a quad 3 loss, which you really, really want to avoid. As of today, Tulane's 135th in the net, which puts them exactly on the line of a quad 2 loss. So that's going to be one to watch. If they have a good year, it'll probably stay pretty easily quad 2. If they drop a game or two that they probably shouldn't, it may kind of teeter back and forth, going quad 3 one day, back to quad 2. So hopefully Tulane ends up being, I think they were picked 4th in the American. I mean, they are talented, right? They have 2 preseason all conference guys in Cook and Forbes. So like, they're capable. They looked talented the other night, arguably more talented than we did, right? Like, they had more shot makers, it felt like. So hopefully they can kind of turn around. I think they've had some injury problems, but
definitely.
Hopefully they can finish top half of the conference, and that stays just not by any means like a season-ending loss, but Sunday it felt like a really bad loss. I hate losing to Tulane. I don't know. Is Tulane becoming like my new UCF or something? Probably.
Yes, 100%. I think that they are likely the 3rd bid over Cincinnati. I mean, if you told me the American's going to get 3 bids, Houston, Memphis, Tulane, like I think Tulane has
than us right now.
I know, but I think Tulane has the ability to kind of put it together. They are talented. Cross.
Yeah, I don't think that they're out of conference. I don't think they can do it just finishing top 3 in the conference. They would. I mean, their out of conference schedule was so bad.
I don't even know what it was.
They took some bad losses. It would be I think a tall task for them to get there, but maybe.
All right, mark it down. It's the 4th. Remember this.
January
Trey says
4th.
UCF over Tulane.
I am saying UCF is the better.
I'm a believer in freaking Ron Hunter.
Are you just saying in the American standings, or like if one of them makes the
tournament? The American standings? No, okay. American standings.
Yeah. So yeah, as it sits right now, we've dropped to 3rd in the conference in the net rankings. We pretty comfortably 2nd, but we are now, as of today, 59th, with Houston at 1. So that's a huge opportunity. And then UCF, who we play on the 11th, is currently 48th. So that's a good quad 1. If you beat East Carolina this weekend, which you should, they're 167th in the net. I mean, they're having a decent year. I think they're sitting at 10-5. They won at Wichita State the other night, and then tonight they were playing. I want to say UCF. I don't know if they won or not. Let me check that real quick. But regardless, in FedEx Forum, you can't afford. And they're 10-6, so they lost to UCF tonight. You can't afford to lose to East Carolina, especially at home. So a game you need to win, and then a huge opportunity next week at they lost by 3 at home to Central Florida. So Get a dub at home against East Carolina this weekend, which you should. 1 o'clock Saturday. Ken Palm's got it at a 15-point Tigers victory with 91% chance to win. That feels about right. I mean, you should beat them by double digits at home, probably.
You should.
And then a huge one next Wednesday, like we said, in Orlando, quad one opportunity. If you can get that one, I mean, that pretty much cancels out that Tulane loss early on.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, Ken Palm right now has it as a 2-point loss, 68-66 to the Golden Knights of Central Florida. But I think that's one you can get.
I'm not sure they'll do it. I don't know if they can do it because Houston looks really good. Really good. But if you can steal one of those, I mean, that is so big for your resume, especially now that Auburn is dog water.
Gosh, our Auburn
Ole Miss isn't good. Like, you can look back on the schedule and just be like, all right, it turns out they're not good. They're trash. Losing to Alabama's fine. I don't expect Alabama to plummet by any means. That's a good loss.
That was one that if we could have stolen that one.
No, absolutely.
You could have hit one more three and you could have stolen that game. That would have been huge.
It immediately makes up for a Tulane loss. I mean,
I mean, that's a huge resume builder right there, especially being at Alabama. But yeah, you talked about Auburn. They lost to Georgia tonight by 11 or something. I mean, I'm afraid that's going to end up. I mean, that's our marquee win right now. But yeah, I mean, if you can steal a Houston, that'll be pretty huge.
Yeah. Need it.
All right, I'm trying to see if there was anything else we needed to talk about. No, I think we're there. So East Carolina game, Saturday afternoon in the Forum. Give me your player of the game and a score prediction.
Kendrick Davis, 5 billion.
Kendrick, also shout out to Kendrick. I think it's his third back-to-back weeks he's been American Conference Player of the Week. He averaged 27.5 and 8 assists in those 2 games last week against South Florida and then Tulane. I mean, he's balling out.
I'm going to ask you this question.
He still can't hit a 3 most of the time, but he's balling out. It's not
If
fun.
you had to pick Jeremiah Martin his senior year or Kendrick Davis, who are you picking? I was thinking about this the other day. As long as
dude, Jeremiah went off.
He was hot that senior year. Once he learned how to hit the 3 consistently, I knew you guys were going to say something because I said Jeremiah was not a great shooter, and he wasn't a great 3-point shooter.
That's
but somehow that senior year,
you just straight up said
he
couldn't shoot. Period.
Whatever.
Like, point blank,
Semantics.
He can't shoot. That's tough. Kendrick's obviously a better scorer, probably, and just a better ball handler and passer, I would say.
Okay.
Jeremiah
I was curious where you're going there.
Jeremiah has the size advantage, which to me, we've been talking about this team struggling defensively. I think, and that's not to say that Kendrick doesn't bust his ass defensively or play good. Like, I just think that Jeremiah probably gives you a little bit more defensively.
Okay.
I don't know. Don't make me pick that.
You have to pick, though. That's the thing.
I'm sticking with KD, I guess. I really like KD on this team.
I picked Kendrick as well. I love Jeremiah that senior year. He was, lights out, but
loved him.
Kendrick has blown me away.
Kendrick is a hooper day in and day out.
He's a hooper. I'm with you on that.
All right, you went KD. What's your score?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to say Tigers 85, ECU 70. It should be more than that, in my opinion, but I don't think ECU should score 70 by any means, but the Tigers forgot how to play defense for some reason. They're going to come out and go zone the entire game or something stupid like this.
No, they're going to turn it back around Saturday at home. I'm going, let's go 83-61. They get a 20-point win.
20-pointer. Okay.
I'm going to say, I mean, you got to go KD, I guess, but just to be off the wall, Let's go Alex. I'll go Alex.
Okay, I respect that. All right, new
I'm gonna say Alex
question.
gets close to a trip dub.
I have a new question for you. Jonathan Lawson.
I don't even. What the hell's going on?
Well, I think it's obvious. These are big games, and Penny doesn't trust him to play.
I don't even think he was dressed out the other night.
No, he was dressed out. He was in the warm-ups. He doesn't trust him to play in these big games. It just is what it is. Once we play,
I mean, what is trust?
Temple, but they're actually
what is trust at this point? The kid does nothing but come out and drain threes.
He doesn't defend. I think that's the
one
thing.
No, well, nobody else defended the other night
That's
either.
kind of the same argument I made, honestly. But
So what's it matter if you're giving up?
Take.
In J-Law's defense, if he's given up a turnaround 2-point jumper, but then he comes down and Drano's a 3, hey, you're net positive in that scenario.
Well, that would be nice, but he's also fouling.
So does freaking DeAndre.
So does DeAndre. I know. Trust me, I'm with you. I think that his positives.
We're gonna have to check the tape because I'm not positive that he dressed out the other night.
I don't know whose minutes he takes. Right. McCadden gives you maturity and size, but that's kind of the place I would look for minutes. I'm not taking anything from Kennedy. I'm not taking anything from Mars.
When you said I don't know whose minutes he's taking, my immediate thought was Jaden and Elijah. I mean,
well, Jaden gives you something though.
What?
In theory, he is a 3-point shooter. Like you know what you're getting in these guys.
Arguably and statistically wise, J-Law is much more productive from 3 than Jaden has been.
I'll say this. When you play, and this is like coming from a hard place for me to say this because I have been so against playing Jaden. You know what you're getting when you play Jaden. You know what you're getting when you play Elijah McCadden. Jonathan's kind of a wild card, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing.
So let's live life on the edge.
I'm with you.
Be a little bit of risk. There's some. Let's just see what we get. I don't know.
One of my talking points against USF was why the hell did he only play 7 minutes? It's USF. Yeah. Granted, we only led for like 24 minutes or something like that. I think the stat was, but like, let the dude in. Like he's your most consistent shooter. He is. I don't want to say the face of the franchises or of the team or anything like that, but he has all the talent to be someone who's a focal point next year. I know you got a lot coming in with the younger guys, but like that's your one glue piece. You don't have many coming back next year. That's one of them. You may want to go ahead and get some experience under his belt.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, J-Law's bought in, so I'm not going to complain too much if he's not complaining. He seems to understand what's going on. So
it's fair.
How bad do we need Malcolm back?
I think the biggest thing is he's just a big body in the middle of the court.
I mean, we've been struggling rebounding wise. And not that he's like coming out and grabbing 10 plus boards.
I was like, he's not the greatest rebounder, but
just his size in there, I think, makes an impact, right? Like, I don't know. I just feel like we're missing his interior presence.
It's
especially against a team like Tulane, who is so small.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are 5 out. Like having somebody like Malcolm.
So he's averaging that game 4 rebounds a game, which is slightly kind of surprising. That's less than I thought.
But that's also in how many minutes? I think he's getting like sub 20 minutes, isn't he?
Yeah, 15
minutes. I mean, that's.
Well, you want to look at his per 40? He's looking at
that's almost 10. Yeah, that's over 10. That's good.
He ain't playing 40 minutes.
Well, that's true, but
he would have found.
I don't think you need him to play 40 minutes, but you need that 15 to 20 of him being a presence and force on the inside.
Yeah, I think.
I honestly think if you had Malcolm on Sunday, you win the Tulane game.
Probably so. Penny doesn't seem to trust KO, in my opinion. He doesn't play him enough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, and I don't know that that's like any knock against KO. He's even said it, like at Arlington, it was catch lobs and stand in the lane and protect the rim. And they're asking him to do a lot more, right? Like he's got to be in his spots on the floor. Yeah. They're asking him, to catch the ball outside of the paint, switch defensively, like stuff that he's not. And he hadn't been playing basketball that long. Like it's just stuff that's going to take you a little bit of time to get more comfortable with.
I'm going to be honest. I think when KO's in, I think I would just kind of like wing it. Like you just go out there and throw lobs to the guy. I mean, no one play above the rim. Like who's going to stop that? But I guess in transition, it's kind of tough, but I don't know.
We'll see. Hopefully Malcolm's back here soon. He does not have a boot or anything on anymore, so that's a good sign.
Free J-Law. I'm going to get a free J-Law shirt. I know he's not complaining, but I'm mad. I'm mad for him.
Free J-Law, indeed.
Free J-Law, okay? Free Mars, it's moved on. Free J-Law. He better play 20-something minutes against Tulsa because they're trash.
Tulsa is so bad. I hope we better avenge that 40 point.
I want to win by 50 points. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care if it's 41. We need to win by more than 40.
I thought it was.
Do we only play them once?
I think so, yeah.
Yes. It has to be. It's at Tulsa too. We need to go down there and we need to win by 40 plus points. It won't happen.
Kind of like up there.
Huh? Oh, up there.
I think it's
whatever. Over there.
There you go.
It's more
at a map. That way I don't sound like an idiot. I'm looking at a map right now.
All right.
I feel like that's technically north.
Anything else basketball related?
No, I don't think so.
Well, here's to, as Amber, our friend, says, playmakers making plays. Tig's getting a dub on Saturday. All right, to the beer. Bad Leroy Brown. Hey, we need to do pints more often. This is the first time we've gotten to this portion, and I still have some beer left to taste and give a score. Because typically I'm finished about halfway through, and then we get to this portion, and I've almost forgotten what it was like.
I mean, it must be nice to babysit the beer like that, but
I mean, you just took a sip,
empty.
So
no, that was just for show. This has been empty for a hot second.
Oh,
there's nothing in there.
I liked this more than I was thinking that I probably. I mean, I do like a good brown ale, but it is good. Says the baddest brown ale in the whole dang town. If you could save a good time in a bottle, it's this rich, chocolatey, malty American brown. I don't get a whole lot of is there? I'm not getting
There's a little chocolate. There's a hell of a lot of malt. And if you know me, I don't love the malty flavor.
But this isn't doing the old malt coat of the mouth as bad as the last couple we've had.
Not as bad as the other ones. I agree with you on that one.
I'm not getting a ton of chocolate, but this is good.
Yeah, I kind of like the can. I mean, I don't know what's going on. You guys, can you see this?
Yeah, look at that
bear. Trey's got a bear,
camera. Catherine, my daughter, she just loves bear. She loves bears. She would love this can. Shout out to Catherine. I'm gonna go high on this because of Catherine.
It's
holding
like
the dice, riding riding a trike, a bear on a bike.
Cool.
And I like the bad Leroy Brown there. It's good. It's a good can. All the detail, you see all that detail too, in the
I'm trying to pay attention to that. It looks like Midtown
city behind him.
Old school Victorian Midtown.
Shout out to Hampline. We need to get more Hampline out here.
I've got a fridge full of them, brother. We've got a lot of Hampline and Beale Street to go through.
I also love all the brown. It's right on theme. Everything is brown tinted. It's great.
I'm going to say can is. You seem to like it more than I do. I'm going to say.
Oh, did you see that fat diamond ring on the bear's finger?
Yeah, dude. It's a big bling bling. I'm going to say like a 7.2. I think it's a creative can. There's a lot going on. But it's nothing too crazy.
That's like where I was at. I'm in the 7s, and I'm going to give an additional 0.5 because my daughter loves bear. I'm going to go like 7.8. It was a good can. It's a really good can.
Respect it.
Beer-wise, this is good too. I like this.
I'm with you. I thought for an American brown ale was much better than I expected.
Yeah, I'm still not getting a ton of chocolate, but it is for like a winter's night, this is a great beer.
Good.
I could definitely drink more than one of these in a sitting.
Yeah, it was light enough. I think I could too, actually. I mean,
I'm gonna go. I don't know if this has ever happened. I'm gonna go 7-8 for the beer as well. Can and beer are both the same score.
that has definitely not happened.
No, it has happened once when Kenny filled in and just gave 10s across the board for everything that ever happened.
Unbelievable.
Freaking Kenbo.
Not how it works, dog. I like it. I don't know if I like it as much as you. Just a little bit less. Just a little bit less. And it's because of the maltiness. I'm gonna say like almost at a 7-2, which would have been funny because we just had that conversation.
If that's what it is, I mean, trust your gut. Go with first instinct.
Well, I'm teetering between a 7-2 or a 7-3 because I like it, but it's also like I feel like I'm constantly like swallowing and clearing my mouth because of it.
Yeah.
But it's good. I could have 2 of these, especially at 16 ounces. That's impressive. So yeah, I'm going to 7-3, just a little bit better than the can.
There you go, ladies and gents. All right, head over to bluffcitynil.com for all your Tigers coverage on the Bluff with Christian and Gabe and Kenny. Tigers Untapped. All your article pregame, postgame, signing day coverage, everything you want. Remember, donations, 100% tax deductible. Help support Tiger athletics and coaching for literacy. This has been Tigers Untapped. For TJ, this is Trey. Come with the cold beers, Trey for the hot takes. Peace.
If you enjoyed this episode of Tigers Untapped, please leave a like and a comment wherever you download your podcasts. Head over to bluffcitynil.com for comprehensive coverage of Memphis Tiger athletics. We will see you back here next week.